Today's masterclass is a sort of modernish take on a classic vichyssoise soup. We're going to be serving it warm, using seasonal veg, which are at the height of their season. Sadly, just on the way out, but we're going to be using Jersey Royals and British asparagus to make the soup. And then we've got some lovely salmon as well, which we're going to confit nice and gently at around 45-50 degrees for about 10 minutes. So it's still going to be really pink in the middle, nice and medium throughout. And then we've got some little quail eggs and some more Jersey Royals as garnish. So what I'll do, I'll switch between all the cameras and then we'll be able to get to it. So first of all is to slice your onion, remove any brown. And the aim of this soup is it's all about speed, really. So we want to cut everything as nice and thinly as possible in order so it cooks really, really quickly. We're literally going to sweat everything off in a bit of butter and thyme. Then literally add the chopped asparagus and Jersey Royals. Bring it up to the boil with some chicken stock and milk. Finish it with a little bit of single cream, and then it's done. So take a little bit of butter. It's around 50 grams. We don't want any colour on this vegetables. It's a nice green soup. So obviously adding any brown to the soup is really going to change the colour and make it less vibrant. While that's sweating, we'll get the rest of our vegetables in. So we've got leek. Again, use the centre of the leek, not the green tip. So vichyssoise is a great soup to have chilled. Perfect for summer months. Just in time for the nice heat wave that we've got coming back.
But you can have it hot as well, can't you, Richard?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to add a nice bit of thyme in there as well. Oh, sorry, I'm on that camera. Nice bit of thyme. And then our Jersey Royals. So Jersey Royals, I've just cut them in half. And again, really, really thin. Because we literally want them to cook in seconds, get nice and waxy. And then we can add our stock and milk and cream. Okay, so as you can see, it's just sweating at the back there, nice and gently. I've also got the oil on for the salmon, which I'll talk through in a little bit. But you want to get that to around your 45-50 degrees early on. If it goes over a little bit, that's not a problem because the temperature of the salmon, when you put it in, is going to bring the temperature back down again. So it's all just about sort of maintaining a nice steady temperature. Now, obviously, if we're probably doing this in a busy kitchen, we'd be looking at using a sous vide. That way, I mean, also for control, but mainly because of wastage as well. So in a sous vide bag, you've only really got to put a little dash of oil just to get it.
How many portions are you actually making? Is this for 4?
I'm making slightly less. I'm making it for 2, just so I'm not eating it again tomorrow. But this is for 2.
And Peter Pisson's asking, are their jerseys parboiled?
No, they're raw.
They're raw.
So
okay.
They're raw. So you want the starchiness and the wax to come out of the potato as you're cooking it, which is going to help thicken it up as well. Mm-hmm. So this recipe is actually a lot thinner than a classic vichyssoise. A normal vichyssoise is actually quite a thick soup. This is more of like a sort of velouté texture. Can be frothed. Using it more of a sauce than anything else. Okay, so we'll just leave that on the stove at the back. Just just to cook. Pop a little seasoning nice and early. Okay, we'll leave that there to do its thing. Well, whilst that's cooking, we will move over to the savoury granola. So with the savoury granola, I really like texture in a lot of food. So if you've got something liquid, something soft, it's nice to put something with it that's going to have a bit of crunch, bit of bite, just to complement the dish. So to make the savoury granola, it's quite a versatile recipe. You can use this in lots of different dishes, puts lots of spices like cumin, paprika, cayenne, everything. So we've got our egg white. We're just going to whisk that up until it's nice and frothy. So in the recipe, I asked gastronomes to salt the fish and put it in the fridge uncovered for about half an hour. That's just going to draw out some of the moisture and really firm it up, so you don't have to worry about it falling apart in the oil.
And are there any other types of fish the dish would work well with?
Yeah, so halibut, turbot, again, so just, yeah, your firm fish. So sorry, I'm just putting the whisked up egg white with, so in here we've got the oats, nuts, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, fennel seeds, and a little grating of lemon zest. And it's all starting to come together. So here, this will literally start clumping together like a normal granola. Obviously there's no honey or maple or anything like that in this. And that's what you want. You sort of want nice big chunks to go on. Okay, onto the baking parchment. Spread that out nice and thinly. And then into the oven. So that will take about 10 minutes, 170 degrees, 180 degrees. Just sort of how you would normally toast some oats or nuts. You don't want it too brown, but you want to have them nice and crisp. I mean, confit is basically cooking in fat. So I used to do this dish with duck fat, which was an old Kaufman dish. Obviously, I think nowadays cooking has got a bit lighter. So for me, rapeseed oil is a good neutral flavoured oil that you can put other flavours into it. So with the peppercorns, the garlic, you could put star anise in. So it just sort of helps, you know, keep the clean flavours. Obviously, it's a really good, it's a monounsaturated fat, lower in cholesterol. A lot of British farmers are now growing it, so it's a fantastic oil that we've got in this country. So olive oil again works really well with this dish. Okay, so the potatoes now, if I hold one up, just starting to fall apart, nice and thinly cooked. And we're going to add, we've got the white chicken stock.
Why specifically white chicken stock?
For me, a brown chicken stock is more what you would use to sort of make your base sauces, like your demi-glace, you know, your finishing sauces. A white chicken stock, the bones haven't been roasted, so it's a lot cleaner, less complex flavors, great for sort of soup bases, casserole, you know, poaching things. So a lot more subtle. And so the chicken stock's gone in, and then the milk, and then the double cream. Single cream. So again, everything we're using now is nice and light. You know, you're sort of using less cream in this recipe, more milk and stock. So it's all about just sort of keeping up with, I think, more modern cooking, where you're actually making foods a bit lighter than they used to be. But, I mean, don't get me wrong, I still put about 3 packets of butter in a mashed potato, but there's some things that that need to have butter, and I think that there's a lot of dishes now that don't need to be as heavy as they once were. So right, we've got that all together there. Another season. So I didn't put the pepper in at the beginning of the cooking when I was sweating off all of the vegetables, because it can just release a bit too much of the oil and make it a bit too strong. So we want it a bit more subtle and less peppery, especially with the leek. I always find classic leek and potato soup can very easily become too peppery. Okay, so whilst we've got that coming up to the boil, we are going to cook our fish. So the fish, I've got some lovely lock dart salmon. Just use the centre cut, around 160 grams. Obviously, how you cut the fish is going to affect the cooking time. If you've got a longer strip, including the belly, it will cook quicker than a bigger piece like this to get to the centre. So as I say, salted for about 30 minutes, left uncovered in the fridge to firm up, and then that can go into the oil. So with an induction hob, it's really easy to maintain temperature of what you're looking for of around 45 to 55 degrees. If you've got gas, then good thing to do is go slightly higher. Put the fish into a container, pour the oil over the top and let it sit and finish off on the side. Alternatively, you can move it backwards and forwards, but it takes a lot more jiggling around.
Quick question from Peter Pitton. Can you confit duck in a sous vide? Yes, you can.
Yep. Again, going back to wastage, if you put a duck leg and backpack it, you only need about 1 tablespoon of duck fat. If you do it sort of traditionally in a pan, you need a lot more duck fat, and eventually you end up wasting more. So for me, the result comes out the same. It's all about wastage on that, which is something that I'm very passionate about. Is if it doesn't need to be wasted, then there's got to be a way to reduce it. Same for cooking the fish like this. You use a tablespoon compared to the 400 ml that I've got in the pan. So, but this again, nice way to cook the fish. Something that's a little bit different. Really keeps the fish nice and pink. So going back over to the soup, that is very nearly done. I will just double check everything. So that's virtually cooked. We'll just give it 2 more minutes and we will be there. Yeah, so as you can see, it's all started clumping together like a nice granola. You get nice big barks, so you can pull that off. I'll just give that another 2 minutes.
Bill Brogan was very impressed with the granola idea. Thought that was a good idea.
For me, it's just all about texture. When thinking through dishes, it's thinking about bitter, sweet, saltiness, acidic, and then also textures as well, because they play such an important role in a dish. Okay, to save the noise issue that we'll have, I've pre-made some of the soup just so we're not drowned out by the noise of a blender.
So normally you would blend that so that it was smooth?
Yes, I would blend it and pass it, just where you got the time stalks and everything it could do with a pass. And then again, so you could have it hot, you could have it cold, or slightly warm as well. Not everything always needs to be hot or cold. So the fish is ever so nearly coming on. So to be able to tell the temperature, you should really be able to stick your finger in the oil if you haven't got a probe, and it's around the temperature of when it just becomes uncomfortable. So you should be able to stick your finger in the oil 10-15 seconds, then you think maybe I want to take it out now. So that's always a good way. Sometimes you get it wrong and it's actually a bit too hot and it burns you, so that's one to watch out for. So the reason as well, this is a good method for cooking fish as well. If you've got a busy service, a lot of the fish can be pre-confit off. So it's cooked really gently, chilled, and then check on. You give it a glaze, warm it back up to temperature, and it's ready to go. Okay, so for the garnish, sorry, I forgot my peppercorns and garlic in the oil. Here we've got some pre-blanched asparagus tips, just saved from the bunch of asparagus that we used for the soup. Some quail eggs that are boiled for 2.5 minutes and then refreshed in ice cold water, and some Jersey royals that are just boiled in salted water and then dressed with a little bit of olive oil and seasoning. If you can't get hold of quail eggs, pheasant egg or a normal egg, 6.5 minutes and then refreshed in ice cold water. That will be lovely. So at the bottom of the pan for the fish, I put a little circle disc of greaseproof paper. Just this fish has gone in skinless. With a stainless steel pan like this, you haven't really got much non-stick properties on it, so it's always good just to doubly make sure so you don't end up sticking at the bottom of the pan. Okay, so just for serving it, we're going to just neatly arrange around 3 pieces of Jersey royal. So it's a nice soup to, I mean, Jersey royals are sadly on their way out. They're roughly to around the end of the month. But it's also a nice way of using the potatoes when they're not quite ridiculously priced. At the beginning of the season, you know, there's a bit of a frenzy and it's a bit expensive. So the quail eggs just adds a really nice richness to the dish. And we'll just...
So you're actually slicing those to make them look...
Yeah, just to make it a bit more aesthetic. Doesn't have to be, it's just as nice whole. Okay, and then we will take out our fish. Okay, just onto a J cloth just to drain off any excess oil. The peppercorn. Okay, and then I've got here a blowtorch. Okay, I really like the effect blowtorch in poached fish gives the ultimate finish. You could flash it in a really hot pan, sort of without any oil. Just put it in dry, and then let the fish just really get a nice lot of colour. I don't think a grill would be a good idea, just because the heat's not as intense. So you would end up cooking the fish all the way through, which is not what we want to do. Okay, so just to finish, we'll put some of our savoury granola. and then the Vichyssoise.
So Vic wants to know whether we're on East or West Coast jerseys.
Oh, who asked that?
Vic. He's a jersey expert, apparently.
I'm not, I'm afraid. I didn't check the packet, but I will find out and let him know. Okay, also, I put nasturtiums as one of the garnish because for me it's a lovely, nice peppery leaf. I did have a lot in the garden, but when I actually checked it today, they had been trampled on by 3-year-olds. So we've got some fennel tops instead, which again, you want something that's nice and peppery. Got nice aniseed flavour to this. Really help highlight everything. Okay, that's it. So that's Jersey Royal Vichyssoise with, oh, where are we? There we go. Confit salmon and savoury granola. Great stuff. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing some more.